So I hope everyone's ready to get hyped because I might start talking about Fullmetal Alchemist. Okay, so Fullmetal Alchemist takes place in an alternate timeline where magic's a big deal. Like instead of doing science stuff, they decide to do magic stuff and just make science out of magic. So it takes place in this country that's pretty much just Germany, or it's like somewhere in Central Europe. But so they do this magic called alchemy, where they use mathematics, geometry, or something to transform elements and transmute stuff. So anyway, the show's about these two brothers who their dad is kind of a dick and just left. So they grew up with their mom, and then one day their mom died from like super cancer or something. It's never really explained. It was probably a broken heart, just like Padme in episode 3. Because that totally makes sense. So anyway, their mom died, and they're like, dude, what do we do now? And it's like, I don't know. Our dad practiced magic. Why don't we just use that alchemy magic to bring her back to life? So then they do that, and they get some weird flesh monster, and it's like, no, our mom wasn't a flesh monster. Should we kill it? But they don't really kill. I'm not sure if they actually kill it. I'm pretty sure it just runs away into the countryside. Never to be seen again. So, after that, they're like, okay, so, what should we do now? So they, get rid of the older brother, I think his name, is Ed. Yeah, the older brother Ed decides, I know, I'll get rid of my arm. That never helped us at all. So he gets rid of his arm, and then his brother's like, I'll one up you. I'll get rid of my entire body. So his younger brother Al, so Ed's younger brother Al gets rid of his body to one up his older brother Ed. And Ed's like, oh, okay, well, I'll one up you again. And he gets rid of his leg, and then he realizes, wait a minute, what's the point of one-upping someone who's no longer there? So he brings his younger brother back and just binds his soul to a suit of armor, because that's what magic does. It allows you to bind souls to suits of armor because you have to be as metal as possible. So then he realized that how is he supposed to one-up his brother if his brother's now way more metal than him? And then this dude named Mustang comes. The Mustang's all like, yo, I can do magic too, except I mainly do fire magic and can make things explode with my mind. So then he recruits them to the army and promises them that someday they'll become a great alchemist and that they'll get their very own trench coats. The trench coats come into play later into the story when they start talking about a civil war that happened at the southern end of the country in a region called Ishbal. So in Ishbal, the people down there all had white hair and red eyes because they were cool. And the northern half of the country was like, nah, that's too cool. We better go stop them. They can't be more cool than the rest of the country. So then they go down there and beat them up. But then they realize, oh, we can't fight these guys. They're way too cool. Or normal people can't fight the Ishbalans because they're way too hype. So as a response, the leader of the country is like, I know, I'll send all of our mages, like alchemists, down south. And then Mustang and the other alchemists back in time are like, nah, we're not going to go down there. Why would we want to beat up cool guys? We're cool too. Then the emperor of the country is like, okay, what if I made you more cool by giving you all trench coats? So then they're all given trench coats and they go and fight in the Civil War. And war happens. And there's this dude named Scar, who his older brother was an Ishbalan alchemist. And his alchemist older brother dies in the war, but not before ripping off his own arm and duct taping it to Scar, so Scar can do alchemy too, because all you need is an arm. And Scar had arms, but his arms weren't good enough to do alchemy. So now Scar can do alchemy. So then you move forward in time, not back in time. You move forward in time back to the Elric brothers, Al and Ed. And they're training with Mustang to be alchemist, but he's not really trained them. He's dumped them on the doorstep of this dude named Shou Tucker, who's like the hypest guy in the whole series and did absolutely nothing wrong. And if you think he did something wrong, then you probably didn't watch the same show I did, because he was pretty hype all the way throughout the entire thing. So anyway, they train. Ed and Al train with this guy named Shou Tucker, and Tucker's all like, "Yo, I can do really cool alchemy. You want to see something cool?" Like, sure. And then Tucker decides to fuse his dog with his 10-year-old daughter, and it's like, look, I've made my daughter and my dog and my dog. I made my daughter and my dog. Sorry, I was just really hyped right now about about Shou Tucker's Duke. So he shows them his new. Okay, so I'm just gonna go along with Duke because it's kind of like daughter and dog fused together. So it's Shou Tucker's Duke. So that was pretty hype, and like Ed and Al agree that that was hype, and they make it their lifelong goal to try and one up Shou Tucker from his amazing display of alchemical brilliance by looking for something called the Philosopher's Stone, which amplifies alchemy. So they think that if we can find this stone, maybe we can just make our own dukes. So then they set out on a big quest to go make their own duke by finding a Philosopher's Stone. Anime's great. So anyway, then they're looking for a Philosopher's Stone, but that one dude from the past named Scar is also looking for a Philosopher's Stone, a Philosopher's Stone, because he wants yeah, I don't actually know what Scar's whole deal was. He was just kind of angry and just going place to place murdering people. Okay, Scar's deal was he had to murder the other alchemist because he didn't like them because they just stormed his the southern half of the country, thinking that they were super cool with their trench coats. But Scar's not really into that because he already has white hair and he doesn't want to overdo it and look like a huge nerd with white hair and a trench coat. Which, by the way, I don't think that makes you a huge nerd. I'm pretty sure that makes you the greatest guy ever. But I digress. So anyway, now you have Ed and Al looking for a Philosopher's Stone, Scar looking for a Philosopher's Stone, and Harry Potter looking for a Philosopher's Stone. So then they all look around for a while, and there's a lot of mystery happens, and then people die a lot. And then there's this dude named King Bradley, who is the king or emperor or Fuhrer or whatever. He was the guy who was handing out trench coats and telling people to go fight in the Civil War. And he needs the stone too because they're planning to sacrifice the entire country to make their own massive Dauog. Which, if you already forgot, a Dauog is a dog daughter, just like the great Shou Tucker made. Because he thinks that if the country has its own giant Dauog, that it'll be able to take over the world, because no one's going to mess with you if you have a giant dog monster thing. So then at some point, the Elric brothers, Ed and Al's father comes back, and then he's all like, "What up?" And then everyone's like, "What up?" And then he's like, "Hey, you know that Philosopher's Stone? I think I know where one is." Except he doesn't know where one is. But he talks about how he used it, like he made one before, and that he's actually 500 years old or something. And that him using it was the thing that split the timelines or something. So anyway, long story short, they go on more adventures. Mustang's still around, and I think I already talked about Mustang. Pretty sure I did. Like, Mustang's pretty cool. He can just make things blow up. He just like snaps his fingers a lot, like blowing things up, while smooth jazz plays around him. Like he must be really into smooth jazz. So long story short, they open up a portal into our world, well, our timeline, and there's like zeppelins and World War I or World War II's happening, and they're like, oh, I know, why don't we go through that portal? And then I think it was Al, no, it was Ed who goes through the portal, and then he's like, yeah, I'm through the portal now. Look at me, I'm in Germany or something. Look at me, there's Nazis. And then I think there was a straight to DVD movie made that just wraps up the whole plot, where it's like I'll often say just randomly when I meet new people, it's like, hey, you remember that time the Fullmetal Alchemist had to go fight Nazis? And then they'll look at me and I'll tell them he did it. He's the reason World War II ended. Yeah, but that's pretty much Fullmetal Alchemist, and I hope you're as hyped for Fullmetal Alchemist as I am. And well, they also did make another TV show, it's Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I didn't like it as much as the original, just because its ending seems overly complicated and stupid, but not in a really fun way. It's just more of like metaphysical, like moral questions or something. Like, plus there wasn't enough of Shou Tucker doing amazing Shou Tucker things like fusing children to animals. But there was a great wall, and everyone knows that every great story should have a wall in it. I mean, name me one like amazing story that doesn't feature a wall somewhere in it. Okay, I gave you a second there. Did you think of any? I'm not sure. But if you did, you're probably wrong. So anyway, that was why you should be hyped about Fullmetal Alchemist. If you think I missed anything, please put in the comments. But remember, Shou Tucker did absolutely nothing wrong.